Hi everyone, welcome back into the classroom. What I'm going to do today is, today it's been a big filming day for us, and so I've done a lot of canvas, how to stretch canvas, prepping canvases, color theory videos, done all this kind of stuff, but I haven't been able to paint. So I told everyone, I said, I'm going to sit down and just make a fun little painting because I have to do some flowers today. So I'm going to show you a real quick little a video here, flower video. I've been promising all my students over in the online classes that we're going to be making weekends and stuff like that, our flower studies, where we're going to do small lessons to improve our skills. So I'm going to show you some fun techniques, and every week I want to show a different type of technique that I use. Let's go show more of an acrylic background technique. First, what we'll do is we'll come down here, and I'm going to be using the 6-color set. Now, this is the 6-color set that you find in the links below, on Amazon, and we sell it there. This is the 6 colors. To the 6 colors, I've mixed in some of the Heritage extender medium that slows down the drying time, makes them paint more like an oil. So this is acrylic. This is 100% the acrylic. These are Heritage acrylics, and they come like this into the tube, and then I put them over into the little containers like this, and then I mix in some extender, and they slow dry. They paint just like an oil. So we'll have that. But I have a background here. I've just taken the background that I put on. This is board. This is an MDF board that I just give a coat of medium white to. You can get medium white in big containers like this. It's really cost effective, or you can just mix it up with a little bit of white, a tiny bit of black, and a little bit of Hansa yellow from the 6-color set there. So it just makes a background. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work a little more acrylic. We get a beautiful kind of a brownish color from red, 2 parts red to 1 part black here, and I'm going to use just a slightly less, a little bit of black here with that, so I get kind of a real dirty, almost red here, almost like a beautiful English red or something like that, or English red oxide, but a little darker, a little blacker there. And I'm going to get that to glow just a bit with some Hansa yellow here like this. This is a beautiful color, and this color right in here, this kind of glowy yellow brown here, works really nice with, we'll get a little bit more of a glow here to that. That's really pretty. If you want it, gray it down a little bit more black. If you want to drop its saturation and make it a little bit less intense, you can add a tiny bit of white to that. White will do that because black and white make what? Gray. But I'm going to leave this a little bit full strength here. I'll show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take I'll take a mister bottle here with some water. This is something I do sometimes I use a combination of both acrylic and oil, or not. It's not an oil, but I use the Heritage like this, and I'll start to put a light. I like my background to have a little bit of the movement like this to it here. And I use a paper towel. This is just a paper towel that I go over. Sometimes I'll just lightly brush the background like this. It gives a real interesting look to it, almost like a little fresco type look to it. It's really a lot of fun, and it's very quick, very easy. I've got a nice glowy little background there, and it's just done just like that. And so sometimes I put streaks of color through that like that. Sometimes I'll just leave that. Now I'll just leave this right up here like that. We'll save that. But I like backgrounds like this as well. They work very, very nice. Now, what we're going to do, and this is going to dry pretty darn quick. As a matter of fact, it's already started. You can see it's already starting to dry. So until it dries, you have to be a little careful with it. You might go put it on the hairdryer for a second, but since we're doing a quick little video, we'll just keep going. I'm going to take some white right with some of that color here and take it off. Take that white off color here just a bit, so it's always leave myself not pure white. So, and it's a good idea, of course, you have the white palette to look at, but always keep some pure color out so you can see how much you're dropping that down. Now I'm just going to use my 3/4 inch brush. I'm going to use the Fusion brushes right out of the brush set that we have there on Amazon. I have a number 6, an old number 6 here, and my 3/4 inch, and I have a number 4, but I probably won't use that 4 round today. But I'm just going to come in here, and we'll start in some flowers here. Let's start a little different look here. Let's put in, we're going to start we'll start the main body of a rose here, which I imagine this rose more, the main body of it here, more like an oval here, okay? And then we'll come back out this way and we'll imagine, okay, here will be its reaching petals that'll come out. So I'll use that, and I turn and I twist and I use the corners of this brush. So I'm thinking of an oval here. You can almost see it. See the oval right here, the opening of the rose here, and then some petals coming out here like this, and a little bit different edges and stuff like that. And that makes it kind of pretty. Let's drop one right down here, a smaller one, maybe even turn it. Okay, so to turn it, we do more of the oval shape and a little bit more edge to the petals like this, more of a triangle type shape, and that'll help turn this rose down this way like that. So that's kind of pretty. And let's just do another like little blossom. Maybe this one is opening up a bit here, right here like this. So it's going to start to open up just a touch there. So we'll push this one here. Maybe a few reaching petals. We'll let those come together. I try to, when I put flowers, and I paint flowers in all kinds of positions and things, but when I paint them, I try to do what I call a formal area. And a formal area, especially in the center, is where the two override each other. You don't want to just put a flower and a flower and a flower with background in between, because then your eye will bounce, especially if you're going to paint this much white. It will just bounce around there, and it won't see depth. So when you overlap, it's like a landscape, and I'm in the middle of teaching a lot of landscapes right now. So in landscapes, we put overlapping planes so that we get greater dimension and depth. And so here, by having an overlapping plane, I'll be able to get a little more dimension and stuff and depth to that. So let's desaturate that just a little bit. We'll drop its value down. We'll take a little bit of black and a little bit of our background here. We'll gray that down a bit, and since my white is nice and thick, I love to paint with thick white. I'll just creamy it up here with just a bit of extender. So a little black right into that color and a little white. This is going to gray it down. And what we'll do is we'll paint this one back down here just a bit like that and push in some value into it. So, and we'll do the same unto this. We'll drop the value of this one and the grayness down just a bit, and that'll allow me to see right where I want to see the bottoms of the roses here, get a little value. So what I'm doing is basically almost like a grisaille. It's a warm grisaille. So now I'll come in and put some of that here into the center of this little rose here. We'll just come through here. Painting grisailles are great ways for you to help start to see value and stuff in your painting. Value, the measure of light and darkness in a painting. And I'm talking a lot about color theory because I've been filming a lot today of color theory videos for our landscape classes and stuff. And so I'm just thinking a lot about values. And, you know, this is what, you know, I've always said, landscape, boy, if you want to paint pretty roses, you need to paint landscapes. And that's true. And because all of these techniques overlap each other. It's an artist's ability to see. So here I'll put the darker color in through here. Now why? Because that creates more contrast. It's causing you to see this area here first. Then I'll drop a little bit of that contrast to the bottom where I want this the reaching petals to come out, and I'll just push in and out here. And see that white stays very nice and wet. That's paints just like an oil. I don't have to worry about it. It's not an oil. So it's a non-toxic acrylic. I can put my hands in it and I can have some fun with it. It doesn't hurt anything. Maybe give the idea of a little center here, but you won't see too much because of the way that's turned. This one, you might see a little bit of it here. So let's just give a little bit of a center. Just push that up and around here. Just a little bit of an idea of a center. You might even see an idea of the bottom of a bowl there like that. Might see a bit of that there. That's kind of pretty. Now I got a nice warm background here. So let's think about making some warm leaves. So we'll key off some of this background harmony color here. This is our harmony color. Let's key off that. Now we can make a nice green by the phthalo blue and the yellow, and that is a very bright green, which we can tone down and keep warm very nicely with a little bit of that brown there. See that? Let's get that where we don't have that glare from the studio lights there on that. Okay, let's just lift that up a bit more. There we go. And so you have that. The other way, like I showed you before in some of our other videos, I can make more of the traditional older olive greens from black and yellow. Those are beautiful olive greens, and you can add a little bit of that gray color there. That's a beautiful color there as well. Both those work. So we can slide this though, you know, and a good painting will have a nice variety to its leaves. So maybe we'll make some of our blues up here, more of our blue greens with a little bit of our harmony color, and some of our yellow greens here. That'll give a real nice variation to our leaves coming into our painting here. So using just my 3/4 inch brush here, we'll just kind of model some of those colors together. Let's come in and let's just set up what we might want to have here as a couple of leaves or leaf shapes. Now, I don't necessarily come in and make something perfect yet. I will sometimes just use the chisel of the brush here like this and just kind of sketch through some pulling through of some stems, like my flower stems are going to pull through here, and using just the edge of the brush and dropping that down. Sometimes I'll take a corner of a reddish color like this, and you know, and I like to push in a little bit of that brownish type color here, even a little spot like that, which I've shown you on so many videos. Just makes it look like a little you know, a little thorn or something. I'd like to paint very fast and very suggestive. There's times that I paint what I call gallery canvases, gallery techniques and stuff, and then there's times that I paint like this that's just fast, and I just love to paint suggestively. And so let's come in and let's push in another little leaf here, maybe up like that, and come back around. And I can just use my finger. I like to just take my finger and take some of it off color, just a bit like that. Let it drag over that, and what that does is it gives the edge a little lost, and then it allows some of that background to come through, which gives me greater harmony. So I kind of imagine the leaf shape as a big oval here, coming up and over like this. And you've seen me do this before in some of those other videos. And then I'll just take that off like that just a bit. I just love that look. It is quick, it's easy, it's nice. And we'll take some of this off this way. Let's get a little bit more of a reddish tone into that. We can cool that off too with a little bit of, it's a beautiful color of that red violet goes into that, cools that. Look at that brownish. Put that in with the blue and stuff there, it gets more of a brownish tone. That's a beautiful tone that would work back up in here as well. So, and we'll use that right here very suggestively. And so sometimes I'll just paint real suggestive, like little leaves like that, and you know, sometimes just little marks here coming out here, sometimes just little ideas, little colors, touches, color, taking it out here. Let's work up in here as well. We'll cover up that one little thing there. We'll just make some movement here. This bottom side, you can even paint the sepals if you want, since you're seeing the back side of the rose there. You can paint more of a sepal there if you want, just to be a little bit different. Now let's take some of our, let's also, while we're here, we'll step away from that just a bit to give our so we don't have just green and white. I'm going to suggest some of that green back into my roses here. And this is something that I do just lightly like this, and that's going to cause a better harmony between the roses and the leaves. And as an artist, that's one of the things that you always are trying to do. You're always trying to look for ways to get harmony, your colors working together. You're trying to always find good ways to get those working together. So now I'm going to switch over to a cooler. Everything here is very warm, so I'm going to switch over to the cooler color of my red violet. We'll push some of that right into the corner here, and let's add some of the cooler red violet now into this rose. This will do a couple things. First, it's a little darker, but it's also going to give more depth and dimension to my flower because it's the cool temperature now coming in. So I'm a temperature painter. I always paint, I always look for my warms and my cools, and you know, I paint in temperature. And So here I'll put this in. You can instantly see that temperature change. Now, I'm going to put some of that right back in through here, and I'm just going to push in and out. Now, I don't want the color to be quite as dark or as harsh as what I have here. This rose is going to sit back behind it, so you would think it's darker. No, you want it a little softer, a little bit more like the background. I want some nice movement there into it, and I just put that color on, and I just push it around with my finger. My bowl is here, push that around. This finger pushing that up and around. A little bit of color in here. Let's push just a little bit of that roundness maybe there that we'll see there. A little bit to the bottom side here. There like that. This is actually the better side because it's more of the shadow side, the bottom side there. We'll let that come down there like that. Okay. We'll take some of this cool color. Let's put it with a little bit of that green. Let's push just a little bit into our leaves here. Get some of that color going into them as well. It's beautiful color there. And try different things here. That's the biggest thing that I tell everybody. Don't be afraid of it. Try. It's only paint. If it doesn't work, cover it up, and we'll just attack it a different way. Do something different. Have some fun with it, and let's play with the color and try some different things. Alrighty, let's come in and we'll switch over here now to our number 6. This is going to allow us to do some really nice detail painting. I'm going to take some white right down in here, and I'm going to come in and I'm really going to start to doll up this flower. Some strokes of some light white here, and pull down like this, and then I'm going to finish it with my finger, pushing in and out of that shadow there, right up like that, so I get some nice movement to that rose like that. I don't want the brush to do all the work. I want my finger to do the work, because the finger gives it such a pretty little look without it being perfect of the brush. Sometimes a brush stroke is perfect. So here I jab and I just lift off like that, and I want to preserve some of that shadow that I have there first. So I don't want to come in too far. I only want to do the edges here. I only want to look out to the edges, and I want to preserve some of that shadow that I've already have going in there. Maybe I'll take some of that off, just like that. And that's one of the things I like to do. I like an edge, and then boom, it's gone. That's one of the looks that I've been known for in painting roses, and I like that, and I don't mind it. I used to paint so perfect and worry about perfect edges. Now I like some things to just disappear here. Yeah, that's pretty. See, you just get that skipping there. I like that. Let's open up this side of the rose here. We'll just push some light petal like this, and push that open, and let that movement in and out like that. That center. Drop a little bit here. Pull down just a touch like that. Sometimes just right on the edge. If I get it too streaky, I'll go back and forth a little bit. And I don't mind pushing the color till it just almost disappears, and then come back in and reset it again. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I'll, I'm looking for its reaction to right up here. And I want to keep this nice light. Let's pick up some more thick white right here, and let's restate our white reaction right up here. This is our front of our rose here, and I really want that reaction to that light right up there, quite high here like that. Push that up there. That's good. A little softer on the inside. You might even slide up here like this, and we might, just a little bit grayer, a little softer color, a little bit more gray coming down here. Just little ideas of this moving petals. And I get smaller and smaller movements of my brush in here, because this is where the younger petals are in your rose. These are young petals underneath there, so we don't want to take big strokes. We want small strokes, little edges. And this is the beauty of this fusion brush. This is the softness of it that is so very important. I have people write me and it's like, oh, I'm going to practice your roses tonight and stuff, and I'm going to use my brushes and stuff. And, let me just say this. I've been a teacher for 35 years. I've taught thousands and thousands of very successful artists out there, and of course, and myself, when I travel around the world and teach. I've traveled over 1 million miles in the last 10 years around the world teaching. And if you want to learn properly, you've got to use the same type of materials that your teacher is. It does no good to watch a video like this and then you go use oils or you to go use something else, because the feeling of that material is completely different. And so your movements of your finger, if the color is, if your acrylic that you're using is a little bit thinner than what I'm using here, it's going to move, and those colors are going to work together quicker than what they're doing with mine. It doesn't do any good to practice. When you talk about practicing something, you're talking about practicing using the same types of techniques and the material that that artist is using that's going to. Now, if you want to take some of the things that I use here and try to find your way with it, that's fine. But if you want to paint roses or flowers like I'm doing, then you have to move a little closer to some of the techniques, some of the materials that I'm using, so it's easier for it. Otherwise, you're just going to get frustrated, because you're not going to be able to do it. And if you look at some of the comments to some of my YouTube videos and everything, people say, oh, I tried it with oils and I can't do it. Or I've tried it with this and I can't do it. Of course you can't. We've been doing this a long time, and you can't. You know, it's better. And it's still difficult. Even if you get all of this stuff here and you do it, it still takes practice. It still takes hundreds of roses to really get it. But boy, you know, if you really want to learn it, then you got to learn it properly. That's just my advice, okay? So off we go. So now I'm going to build, and I know I still have my bright white here. And I'm going to build a little bit more. I know if I want to set a row of petals right in here, I might need to pull out my shadow a little bit further so I have some shadow for that next row to react against. So I'll just lift off with there with my finger, and I can come in here like this, and I can set in another row of petals there. I can push the shadow out, leaving just a little tip of white out there onto those petals. Now, I don't like it when the white is even all the way down, so I'll take that off just a bit like that. I don't like I always look for a line, and see, that developed a line, so I just take it off a little bit. Let's come in and let's put one right in here like this, and let's pull this in like that and push it out like that. Restate some of that shadow that I stuck too much white in right there. Just push some of that in there like that. That's a real pretty little flower. Gives a different little look. Here we'll use a little chisel, maybe put a bit of dark into and just lift off. This is called negative painting. I use this on roses, and I have a whole book on just negative painting techniques. And there's techniques. I'm a technique painter. I paint in techniques here. Let's push just a little more light into this petal here. Maybe a dose of that white right where that's going to cross that one there. That'll be pretty. Put a little shadow into the brush and just lift off like that. A little negative painting. And lift off. And direct that petal like that. That's pretty. Maybe a little hit of the light right up here to just say there's the back edge of that petal right there. Let it fall into that one. Let's soften this one here. Let's soften this one down. Now we want this one. Now see, that's really light, and it's competing against that one. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push this, push it with your finger right into that wet base color that I still have there. And if it doesn't have wet base color, then go grab a little shadow and drop over it. And I'll push it back until it softens back a bit. And I'll come back up here and realize I was too light, so I'll go back up here and pick up some color. That's better. We can push a little bit of light right there, maybe an edge of that right there like that. That's pretty. Just as long as it's not lighter than that front one, you're okay. You can do it out here on the edges because they're real close. They're almost like weaving together here. So I can kind of weave them together there a bit like that. Let's bring in an edge right here. Maybe this is a petal edge right here. This one's opening up a bit, so we'll curve that just a bit. We just take a curve it with your finger, or you can pull it down with your brush. I like to use that finger too because it's not as perfect, and I get those blurry little colors. And then I could come back and set it a little perfect if I want, but I so much like the brush, and the combination of the brush and my finger. working together, giving me two different looks. Let's open this center up a bit, so we'll pull these. By doing that, what I do is I just curve in like this a bit, and that just opens up the center. We'll open up another row of petals right here, right there, like that. And it comes from, and we just know we're going to get smaller and smaller, right? Smaller and smaller. But, you know, how do you know what to do in here? Well, a lot of times I just kind of get smaller and smaller, and I paint for movement. I don't specifically paint petals. I'll finally get there and go, wow, hey, that looks like a petal. That's okay. That looks like a petal. You know, and that's how I paint it. It's sometimes it just, I paint until I see something. So I'm going to restate some dark in here and take away some of that light just a bit more, just because these two were coming closer together, close to each other as far as lightness. And so I'll take that off a bit, and we'll come out here like that. We'll push that out a bit like that. Let's just pink up this rose just a bit more, so I'll get a difference between it and the other one. A little bit more. Set that back. Matter of fact, we can do more of a pink backside to it here. Let some of those outside edges go out here a little bit more pink, so it's not quite as white as that front one there. We can put some of that pink on the front one here, you know, and it can be a little bit more contrast to it. This is just that red violet here. It's beautiful. That red violet is beautiful because, you know, overall this painting's very warm, and that red violet is just a nice, pretty little cool touch to the painting here. And it just works so well. Now we'll make some soft gray, maybe pinky gray here, a little bit of that pink right into some of this, and put in some soft light, very suggestive here. Just suggestive of petals. Just a suggestive rose. We don't need very much, because anything we really do, as long as we just kind of swirl it around here sideways like that, it's going to look like a rose, because we have a rose here. So the viewer will see a rose. So we don't need to go in here and specifically paint a rose. We just need to create some movement of the rose, and the viewer will see that as a rose here. That's what we want to do. We create some soft looks and movement to it. Let's create a little bit more of a center. That center is so important to the look of the rose. So we'll create a little more of a center there. Maybe a little bit more pink here to the shadow downside of it here, like that. We can build just a little more light to the front here. A couple of edges of it here. Let's get this a little closer right there. That'll bring it up towards the other rose and give more dimension to my painting here. If I bring that up just a bit here, and we'll bring the importance of this one up just a bit more so we can support that. In other words, so the light travels through like that. That's what I'm looking at right there. And so I start to look, and when I get to this point, to how my light is traveling through. And I talk about that in my educational DVDs and books and everything like that. The traveling of your light, you know, and how you're going to make your plan and travel your light and stuff through the painting here. How you doing that? And so we got that. That works out pretty nice there. Now, let's come back here. And let's put some of that light color into that softer, lighter grade color into some of our leaves. And that will soften them just a bit into the painting as well, which is what we want, a nice soft application of those. Soften some of those colors here. And we'll do a little negative painting here in just a minute to really make this pop. Let's take some of these soft grade colors here, and maybe a bit of our blue. Nice cool kind of green here. The blue will cool it off a bit. Get some of that down here. Pull down. I'm just looking, you know, you've got to get a little more going on here. We could have a little red violet. That blue and that red violet, of course, that makes, you know, your purple colors, but you put that into your greens and stuff, and it just looks wonderful, nice and cool. Cools and grays it down. It's very tertiary of a color here. And you can use that down in some of these outer areas and push some of that around a bit. Here, a little. I like to do little bits of color like that, especially when you have a background as interesting as we have here. Now, I'll do a little negative painting as well. The negative painting is fun because it gives that edge to the flower here, like that. And that you got to be careful because that brings it forward, so you can blur it until it doesn't. But we can start painting some contrast with that. Here, let's get our blue. Let's get our black and yellow together here as well. Some darker color. So black and yellow and blue. Then we'll add a little red violet that keeps that really to the cool side here. But that black and yellow is that nice olive color, and then we take it off just a bit. Now this is a high contrast dark color here, and this will, we'll take a look at it there for just a second. Now that's a nice deep contrast color. I'll take some of that out here. We'll take some of that out with our leaf shape here and pull some of that color out. But see, that's a nice beautiful contrast color that just goes bang right in there. So we got to figure out a place or two to get that. Let's get that right in here a bit. Let's push some of that right in there. Some of it maybe right in, like there's another down leaf or something there. It's because that nice beautiful contrast. Let's drop some right out in here and push a green shape back behind this one, which will push that one forward. And this is just for pure contrast here, just like that. And see, it lifts that side of the rose up here. And we'll negative paint that edge just a bit. You can give a vein line to it if you want to have a little more depth, or a vein line, you know, a direction to it or so. Let's put a little bit of that right back in here. But I love the negative painting of stuff, and it's getting that nice deep shadow cool color in here, and see that just pops that up. Let's give a little bit of an edge detail to that end of that leaf, and then just let it fade off like that. Gives a pretty little mark to it here. I like a few little stems and lines and stuff coming out. Those little, that adds a lot. It's like little liner work detail that stroke artists and stuff give. It's stuff. Let's get a little more contrast depth in here. So we'll see a little bit of that. Boom, right in there. That'll push that out. Let that leaf sit up on top of that, but to get a little bit of that color there. Here we go. Just like that. There. A little bit of that working there. Some of that just working here on the edge of this leaf here. That's pretty nice. And so that contrast, see, it just kind of boom, there it is. We can, you know, it's to a point now as the artist, you have to determine how much you're going to do. How much contrast do you want to do? How much power do you want this to have? I'll keep some of that dark, so yellow and black, a little bit of blue, and then a little bit of your red violet to keep it cool here. That's your high contrast color there. And you see everywhere I touch that, every time I touch that cool high contrast color, it really brings that that flower, just boom, it starts that white flower jumping off the surface here. We joke on to our classrooms and stuff, the jumping medium. Yeah, we jump stuff with color. Let's carry that contrast color right down through here. We'll jump this flower just a bit here. Push that in and out there. Just let it jump a little bit. You could put a touch to that other side there, but I don't think it's necessary. Sometimes you just get a look and it's enough. I mean, it's You know, it's enough for the painting here. You know, you don't want to travel it everywhere. You'd like to have some of this variation. As a matter of fact, we want to come up here to some soft colors, maybe a little bit of reds into that green. Really, you can see how it grays that down, neutralizes it down here. And we can use that to some soft little leaves up here to the outside. Let's get a little more yellow, a little more white into that here. These neutrals like this are very important out to the outsides of your paintings here. They add the movement, but you know, through the painting, but they don't distract from the objects as because it's such a soft color here. So we like that. And we'll just blur that edge of that off there like that. I like to pull down sometimes that color. It would be pretty, you know, you can put in other little colors, like blush other little colors and stuff into the painting. Of course, it's, you know, how much you're going to, now it's up to you how much you're going to be putting into the painting. But you could, you know, like I show you in other videos and stuff, you know, blush some other like little lights, like there's a back edge of a flower right back here. Maybe you don't need to paint a flower. You just need to paint an edge or a little bit of movement, like maybe there's one back there, you know. And let's put some red into this right here. Okay, let's get just a little bit of cool, this, and a little bit of that green, so that's not bright, so that tones that dusty rose kind of color, and push some of that back here. And just with a little light movement here, you can say that, okay, there's another flower back here, back behind this one here. So that's pretty. And you can get a little bit of that rose color into there. And you see some of that color coming through the couple other little areas. Let's drop in just a touch more white right here. I look at my planes here. Which one goes up? So that's definitely climbing in front of that one. And these two are really good relationship with each other here. So that's no problem there. Got my lights going through there. That all works. I've got some nice yellow greens to some of my real cool ones. Don't have a lot of blue greens in there, but you know, this painting really doesn't need a whole lot of blue greens. It'd be pretty in like a gold frame here. You could pull color down and do other things, but I just like a painting like that right onto a casual background. Okay, there's a quick little rose lesson for you. Start out, put on just a paper towel background with some of that color, and then go in and start painting some white roses. It's a little different, you know, before we start out with medium colors and then work into it. But here we start out with some of our light colors, work the shadows, work the lights, work back to shadows again. And it's a little bit different type of technique. Lots and lots of different techniques that we use to do this, but approach it a little bit different. And approach it on a dry background, where you don't have that alla prima wet background to save you. You got to work on that dry. But that works really great to like get that lost edge of that leaf, just go and it's gone. It's a lot of fun. Give it a try. You know, fun little paintings like this will really they help you. Do about 400 of them and you're a rose painter. I'll see you in some of the other lessons. Thanks for painting with me. I'll see you next time. And don't forget, subscribe to us and go check all those links down below. If you want the colors, you want the brushes, we have tons of books and DVDs and all that kind of stuff. You can check out some of the links down below. So please do that, because that's what makes all of this all possible. And I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.